Hello viewers and welcome to another match of Warhammer 40,000 Conquest. My name is Mitch and I am the Hive Tyrant. Today we have another game featuring War Master Sam Mann at the bottom of our screen playing his vehicle-heavy Eldorath Starbane deck, and he's going to be playing against Eric Keilback, whom instead is piloting our latest Tyranid Warlord subject Ω-X62113, with his choice of Synapse unit being the Stalking Lictor. Both of our players are currently deciding whether or not they want to keep their opening hands. Looks like we've got a pair of signature army units for our Tyranid player, an Infestation enabling Scything Hormagaunts, a No Mercy, which is great in that the Stalking Lictor counts as a unique unit. A Volatile Pyrovore is great, and Regeneration is going to be superb in keeping these units in play. The only trick with this is we really don't have any cheap early game economy, so I can only imagine that this is going to be a difficult choice whether or not to mulligan for Eric indeed, if he just doesn't pitch it outright. But for our Eldorath player, looks like we've got a couple of copies of the Sam Mann jet bike to shift the location of some of his units. He can play them out to some of our later game planets and then move them after winning command to where they're more relevant to combat. Sam's got a pair of elites. His deck kind of focuses on Bone Singer Choir, reducing the cost of Eldar faction vehicles and drones. But he's got Wild Rider Squadron, which has mobile, and it can move alongside other moving units. And then he's got that Mighty Wraith Knight, which enters play and exhausts units, and then because he's got elites, he's also got a copy of Gift of Isha. So not a lot of economy for Sam, and it looks like Eric decided to keep his opening hand here. So planet number 1, he's got the initiative, by the way. He tossed out a copy of Scything Hormagaunts. It infests that planet. It's got a command icon. Sam put out his Vashyal Trailblazer to planet number 2. Invasive Gene Stealers touched down. They decreased the hit points of the Trailblazer to 0. It immediately died, and now the Gene Stealers are going to be winning command for Eric. At planet number 5, we've got a copy of Starbane's Council, and to me, that's a dead giveaway that we've got one of these jet bikes coming up before too long. So basically, the way that this works is the Starbane's Council is going to be able to sit at Iridial. It's going to be able to pick up the 1-card bonus associated with that planet. If Subject Omega were to arrive at that planet, he could potentially try to kill it, but then he'd be exposed to a swing of a total of 5, which would just be an absolute nightmare. Or if something frightening happens, we could have this same Han jet bike relocate its attached unit. And because it's sitting at a 3-color planet, it's going to be able to move itself from Iridial to any other planet, because it has to, like, its current location and its destination have to share planet types, and if you've got a tech, a strong point, and a material icon, suffice it to say, you definitely match with every planet. Eldorath is going to be arriving at planet number 2 as our players go through the command phase here, and looks like our Warlord for the Tyranids is going to be showing up at planet number 4, the trigger the battle ability of any other planets, and our Stalking Lictor is going to be instead arriving at planet number 5. So, planet number 1 is presumably going to be won by our Tyranid. Planet 2, we'll have to see if Eldorath can kill off this 2-3, and then Subject Omega is likely going to be able to win this battle at Karnath, unless something really unexpected happens, like this Starbane's Council moves to planet number 2, but it looks like that is not at all going to be the case. So, during our command phase, that was going to be 3 cards and 2 resources for Eric. I'll go ahead and click on his hand there, and then just 2 resources for Sam. So, note that as a combat action, the same Han jet bike has relocated this copy of Starbane's Council away from that Stalking Lictor to planet number 1. When it arrives, it deals a point of damage to an army unit at that planet. I wasn't sure if it was actually going to be showing up at Karnath, but it would have to deal a point of damage to itself were that the case. So, the jet bike deals a point of damage Salvage to the Scything Hormagaunts. The Scything Hormagaunts take a swing at the Starbane's Council. Because that planet's infested, that's going to be a 3-cost invasive Gene Stealers dropped into play prior to that Starbane's Council having any opportunity to attack, and that is going to be 5 resources straight down the drain for Sam Mann. So, in your face, dear War Master, that about sucks. So, Scything Hormagaunts and invasive Gene Stealers are going to be able to handily, presumably, win at that planet. We see a copy of Predation infest a planet adjacent to planet number 1, and now it's going to be Eldorath opposite that copy of invasive Gene Stealers. Fortunate for Eldorath's sake, our Tyranid player is out of resources, and he doesn't have a copy of the Gene Stealer Prowler regardless, but now Eldorath is going to have to either kill this 1/3 unit, or he's, well, God, I guess planet number 1 is Planum, so that means this invasive Gene Stealer is going to be moved from planet number 1 to planet number 2, and until the end of the phase, it's got a total of 4 hit points. Looks like Eldorath actually decides to retreat as opposed to taking a swing at one of these units, and that is ever so slightly suboptimal because Whiteblade didn't have any resources. If you think about our Tyranid card pool, there's absolutely no way that Eric could have ambushed Eldorath with something, so Sam may as well have thrown out a token point of damage onto one of these units, and I guess Farron here is going to rout nothing, and now we've got a battle triggering at Karrnath. That is going to be Yvarn. So Karrnath activates Yvarn. That's going to be a volatile Pyrovore being put into play, and I can only imagine that perhaps Eric was wanting to fish out one of these powerful elites from Eldorath, because this Wild Rider Viper is now going to be arriving in, like, it's going to be showing up at a planet during the command phase alongside Eldorath, but it'll arrive exhausted. It's not going to be able to count its command icons, and it's still going to have 4 hit points and mobile, but it's not really going to contribute much. And what kind of sucks for Eric is Sam does have a copy of Gift of Isha in hand. But we've gone through an HQ phase. That's 2 cards and 4 resources as per usual for both of our players. At present, it looks like we've just got 1 green and 1 blue icon for Eric at the top of our screen, and of course Sam does not have anything, so Sam spends half of his resources to put a copy of Starbane's Council into play. If Eldorath arrives at that planet, he'll be able to exhaust one of these Gene Stealers. The Starbane's Council, with initiative, will be able to attack and kill it off, and then the other invasive Gene Stealer is not going to be able to attack for a sufficient amount to destroy Starbane's Council unless Eric happens to play another copy of invasive Gene Stealers and do the same trick as before. But Sam does have shield cards in hand. He may not fall for that same effect again. Sam also has a copy of Mind War, and of course, of paramount importance, he's got that copy of Gift of Isha, so I would not be shocked if Sam were to be okay with this Wild Rider Viper dying. It's a pretty fascinating unit. It itself can mobile, and then when another unit moves from its, its current planet to another planet, you can move this unit to that planet as well. So it's potentially a fantastic planet hopper, like with those jet bikes and everything else. So let's see. We've got at planet number 5, played out by our Tyranid. That is going to be a Toxic Venomthrope sitting there. It's potentially going to be able to win 2 cards for our Tyranid, and then, presuming he does end up winning a command struggle at that planet, he'll be able to infest it, which works perfectly with Subject Omega, and it looks like both of our players are AFK for a moment, so let's just pause the video and wait till the action resumes. All right, so it looks like our players are both back from being AFK. They have apparently both passed during the deploy phase, and they've already decided where they want to send their warlords. So one of the benefits of being on Skype is that our players can make their decisions very quickly without having to wait for their opponent to, indicate that they don't have any actions and everything like that. But Eldorath is going to show up at planet number 1. Subject Omega shows up at planet number 3. Stalking Lictor arrives at planet number 2. Note that Eldorath did exhaust one of those copies of invasive Gene Stealer. So Eric is going to come across a total of 3 cards and 2 resources, whereas Eldorath, normally known for a very strong economic showing, he only manages to acquire 2 resources. So it looks like Sam's vehicle-heavy Eldorath deck isn't exactly performing as well as maybe he would like it to be performing in this video today, but let's see how things go at planet number 1. Certainly Eldorath can bring enough firepower to bear that he's potentially going to be able to just tear apart these Gene Stealers, and if he can manage to win, like let's say planets number 1, 2, and 3, then that could be the game right there for him, or considering our first 4 planets all have those red material type icons, he could just as easily win through that. But planet number 1, Starbane's Council, takes a swing. That is going to be a dead copy of Invasive Gene Stealers. Now, the remaining Invasive Gene Stealers are going to have an opportunity to attack. They do decide to take a swing at Starbane's Council. Wisely, Sam discards a 2-value shield card, but we actually see no mercy, so that is going to be a 2 points of damage on that unit, and that is going to be a fantastic opportunity for the Invasive Gene Stealers to be dropped into play at that planet, and that is going to be another dead Starbane's Council, and then it's going to be 2 units potentially sitting there at that planet to be able to beat up on the Wild Rider Viper. There we go again. Invasive Gene Stealers, that 1-2 punch. Good night, Starbane's Council. And wow, so that Invasive Gene Stealers is currently going to be sitting at a 2-4 thanks to that reaction. Now it's going to have an opportunity to attack for 2. Sam does have a Gift of Isha. He does also have a copy of Mind War, but he does not have any Psyker army units at that planet. He only has Eldorath. Wow, okay. So we actually see a Gift of Isha return a Starbane's Council into play, and now it's going to have a fantastic opportunity to swing for 5 at the 4 HP Invasive Gene Stealers. And interesting that Sam chose that target because Heavy Venom Cannon is discarded as a shield, and that means that unit is going to survive. And I guess now, I guess it really wouldn't have mattered too terribly much, but it's going to be sitting there at 3 points of damage. And now we come to the end of a combat round. Both players are going to have an opportunity to retreat. The Wild Rider Viper is going to take a swing of 5 at this Invasive Gene Stealer that's less wounded. It's likely going to end up being killed, but now there's still an Invasive Gene Stealer that's going to be able to attack for 2. I guess what we could have seen, it wouldn't have mattered the order, if the Starbane's Council would have attacked the more wounded copy. Okay, yeah, so I guess, man, all sorts of stuff going on here. Mind War gets played, so because the Starbane's Council is a Psyker, Mind War exhausts. The Invasive Gene Stealer, Eldorath, inexplicably takes a swing, basically finishes off that unit. Well, not inexplicably, because Whiteblade is sitting here with 1 resource. He might have a Gene Stealer Prowler in hand. Interestingly, Eric uses a copy of Predation to spread infestation from the current planet to planet number 2. He doesn't have a Gene Stealer Prowler, that 1 cost 2/2 to put into play, that would have been a perfect target to get killed by Starbane's Council. Sam is going to win planet number 1, that's Farron. It routes that copy of the Toxic Venomthrope Witch, because it won a command struggle, it did infest planet number 5. And now we've got infestation at planets 2 and 5, and that means that Subject Ω-X62113 can ambush Gene Stealer cards in his hand as though they had ambush, which means you can deploy them during the combat phase at any planet. That includes army units that are Gene Stealers, and of course it also includes the Lethal Toxin Sacks, his signature attachment. But Karnath is the destination of Subject Omega. He deposited his units upon what could still be a victory condition planet for him, and he was able to trigger Boundless, and that was going to be the Mighty Wraith Knight discarded as a shield. Sam, to his chagrin, I'm sure, came across a copy of Nullify, normally not bad, but Sam probably wants more units and just more stuff to spend his resources on than just this lowly Vashiaw Trailblazer. We've gone through an HQ phase, that's 4 resources and 2 cards for each of our players. Eloith is going to be our new 5th planet, the new last planet of the game here, and man, things are looking pretty tricky for Sam. Wherever he sends his Warlord, he's going to be exhausting a unit, but the Wild Rider Viper is going to show up exhausted. Our Tyranid puts out a copy of Sacalum Infestors, so it's a 2-cost unique support. Whenever a planet is infested, you could exhaust it to either take the card or resource bonus of that planet. The Toxic Venomthrope is sitting in the HQ of Subject Omega. So for instance, if Omega sends himself to, let's say, planet number 1, he arrives at that planet, he's presumably going to be able to win a command struggle at that planet. The Toxic Venom Thrope will infest it, and then he'd be able to trigger Sakhalem Infestors to, collect the card or resource bonus. So let us see. What we actually have happen is Predation moves the infestation. Well, it copies the infestation at planet number 1. It infests an adjacent planet, Karnath. We see Sakhalem Infestors exhaust. Whiteblade collects the resource bonus associated with that planet, and he's invested a card and 2 resources in this effect, but he's at least been able to benefit from it once. So it's basically a 1 card, 1 resource waste at this point, but the longer this game goes, the better that effect will be. Note that at planet number 1, we've got a copy of Termagant Horde with regeneration, so both of our players are currently deciding where exactly they want to send their warlords. All that Sam has is Nullify. Looks like planet number 1 is going to be the destination, planet number 1, we've got the Termagant Horde. Planet number 4 is going to be the destination for Subject Omega. He's going to be able to win a command struggle at that planet. He's going to collect a couple of cards. He's going to also be able to collect an additional card or resource courtesy of the Toxic Venom Thrope. The Stalking Lictor arrived at planet number 5. Eldorath is going to be exhausting it, but planet numbers 1, 2, and 4 are going to be won by our Tyranid. Planet number 5 is going to be won by Sam. So Sam did manage to get a couple of cards which are going to be of paramount importance to him. He's got a copy of Gift of Isha to recur Starbane's Council to play at any planet should he choose to do so, and Whiteblade instead ended up getting 3 cards and 2 resources, so he definitely came out ahead in regard to that. And now that Stalking Lictor is looking like it's going to get beaten up prior to the end of the combat round, but it's not quite going to be destroyed. And our Tyranid did manage to come across another copy of No Mercy. So planet number 1 is going to be captured by Eric. That is going to be it's going to be Yavvarn that he won. He did not trigger it, but now he's got another planet-type icon of each kind. He's got 2 blue, 2 green, and 1 red. So if he's going to be able to win a battle at planet 1 or if he's going to be able to win a battle at next round's planet 1 or planet number 2, that is going to be the game for him right there, whether it's through green or blue icons, planets 2 and 1, soon to be, respectively. Subject Omega ends up winning a battle at Boundless. We see Sam randomly discard his copy of Bealtan Guardians. At least it was not the copy of Gift of Isha, but what exactly are we going to see here? The Vashyal Trailblazer and Eldorath Starbane are going to take respective swings at the Stalking Lictor, and now what all are we going to see? At the end of the combat round, the Stalking Lictor manages to retreat. That's going to be Sam having the opportunity to win a battle at Boundless. He's going to look at the top 3 cards of his deck, pick one of those to be added to his hand, which he's definitely going to need something great. He'd better hope to high hell he comes across, a copy of Doom or something along those lines. Interestingly, it looks like Sam did not trigger that battle ability unless I'm gravely mistaken. So maybe that was a mistake or something like that, but yeah, I guess I could have sworn Sam had 2 cards in hand, and he must not have triggered Elwith, but perhaps I missed it. Perhaps it was a misplay. I guess I do not know. But the point is, this is possibly the last round of the game. Both of our players have gone through what may have been the last HQ phase. That means 4 resources and 2 cards. We've got another copy of Vashyal Trailblazer sitting at planet number 3. We've got a Soaring Gargoyles at planet number 1 that's got a copy of Regeneration affixed to it. Sam has, at this point, I can only imagine, passed. So the Soaring Gargoyles are going to be a 2/5 flyer that you can use regeneration to pull 2 points of damage off of. We've got Toxic Venom Thropes at planets 2 and 3. Sakhalem Infestors is still going to be a thing. Ripper Swarm is still going to be a thing. And it's looking really, really bad for Sam. So what exactly could we see? We could see the Wild Rider Viper mobile to planet 3. We could see the Vashyal Trailblazer mobile to 2. And I believe that all mobile units move at the same time, but then the Wild Rider Viper will still have an opportunity to kind of hitch a ride on another unit. It's interesting how exactly that card works, but both of our players have sent their Warlords and their Synapse unit to planet number 1, so that is going to be a whole hell of a lot of command won by our Tyranid players, so that's going to be 2 cards, one by Sam Mann, and that is going to be 4 cards and 1 resource for our Tyranid. Note that planet number 1 is currently infested. Our Tyranid did come across a copy of Lethal Toxin Sacs, and therefore, for the cost of 2, he's going to be able to deploy this to his hand, and he's going to be able to potentially, like, God, I don't know, he could put it on the Soaring Gargoyles, and then the Soaring Gargoyles is going to be a 5/4 flyer with regeneration on it. Sakalum Infestors results in a +1 resource 1 by our Tyranid, and now Whiteblade is going to go into combat with 4 resources and 8 cards relative to the 6 resources and 5 cards of Sam Mann. Sam's got a gift of Isha, but the best thing he could return to play is going to be a copy of Bealtan Guardians here, and now what exactly are we going to be seeing? So we see the Vashya Trailblazer is going to mobile itself over to Boundless. The Wild Rider Viper is going to be able to hitch a ride. We see the Vashya Trailblazer move from 3 to 2, thanks again to mobile, and then the Wild Rider Viper is going to be triggering its own mobile, so it just continually kind of hitches a ride, so it's going to be from 4 to 3, from 3 to 2, and then it uses its own mobile to be able to move to Planet 1. So it's interesting how exactly that effect resolves. Be sure to take a peek at the Card Game DB forum so user KTOM can explain exactly how the Wild Rider Viper works. The only reason I speak with any doubt in my voice right now is just because I remember it being kind of a bit of a debate as to whether units move with mobile individually or simultaneously. But regardless, we've got this Wild Rider Viper at planet number 1. It's presumably going to end up dead at some point. It's not a Psyker, so Mind War is not going to be a thing. Drone Defense System is not going to be able to be put into play. Interestingly, Sam uses a copy of Gift of Isha to block an attack here, or no, perhaps Sam did use it as shields. Looks like he adjusted his resource value. So when Eldorath showed up, he exhausted this copy of Volatile Pyrovore. Yeah, looks like it must have been a mistake for Gift of Isha. There must be Skype conversation going on that I'm not privy to. So Eldorath showed up at this planet. Volatile Pyrovore was going to be exhausted. Eldorath maintains initiative, even though Subject Omega is at this planet. The Wild Rider Viper takes a swing of 5 at this flying unit. 5 is going to be cut to 2.5. It's going to be rounded up to 3, but because of the discard of a heavy venom cannon, that is going to be basically blocked. It's just going to be 1 point of damage on the Soaring Gargoyles. We saw a copy of No Mercy result in the successful kill of that Wild Rider Viper, and now Sam does have a copy of Gift of Isha in hand, which hit the table, so it should be abundantly clear, and now that makes me think it's very interesting that we saw that No Mercy played when we did indeed. Note that this Termagant Horde has now created a couple of Termagant tokens from a previous round and from this current round. Gift of Isha returns the Wild Rider Viper to play, and it's now going to be able to attack for 5, but there's not really anything else that Sam has at his disposal as a trick. But we've still got the Invasive Gene Stealers, we've still got the Lethal Toxin Sacs. So I was going to say earlier I wouldn't have been surprised to see something used along the lines of the Lethal Toxin Sacs plus the Soaring Gargoyles, and that would have been a good opportunity for No Mercy. So Subject Omega takes a swing. We see a Nullify used as a shield. We saw a Termagant token take a swing. We saw something else used as a shield. Invasive Gene Stealer is going to drop into play, ambushed. That's going to be -1 hit point. That's going to be a recently re-killed Wild Rider Squadron. Sam Mann calls out the GG, so that is going to be it. Good game. Very well played by both of these players. So I filmed that Gorzod versus Eldorath vehicle heavy and this match on the same day. Those were 2 fast and furious games. It was a hell of a pair, and congratulations again to Eric for managing to once again triumph against War Master Sam Mann. So I'll take just a moment to praise Eric again for managing to take 6th place out of the Winter 2016 season of Sam Mann's Black Crusade, his online Octagon League, and out of 115 or so entrants, 6th place definitely is not bad. Really, the only thing better than 6th place is the 5th place that the Hive Tyrant managed to get. But regardless, very well played by Eric, and congratulations again to him. But all the same, well played on the part of Sam Mann as well. So, my dear viewer, as always, I hope you enjoyed this content, and if you did, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already, or if you are already subscribed, as ever, I encourage you to share this content, because the more people there are that end up exposed to Conquest, the more people might give this game a try, join our living card game community, and the greater we are in number, the bigger message we continue to send to Fantasy Flight Games, telling them to continue to develop this fantastic product. If at any point you'd like to get in touch with me, especially if you yourself are a content creator, feel free to reach out on Facebook or on Twitter, and if you make articles, videos, or podcasts, I would be overjoyed to help you to promote your content, because I kind of have this whole unending endeavor to continue to grow the Conquest LCG community thing going on. If you ever feel inclined to help support the Hive Tyrant, I would be honored, humbled, and honestly deeply appreciative were you to donate as little as $1 to my Patreon page, just to help me cover some of my file hosting and my operating expenses, and each and every additional dollar is just going to be reinvested in improving the audio and video quality of this channel. But once again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this opportunity to see some of our newest cards in action, and as always, be sure to check back in again soon for much more Conquest LCG content to come.